Hey everybody, welcome back from reading week and into week 8. Now we're getting into some very interesting and relevant content as we start to explore a little bit more around metrics and start to consider a little bit more around social cues, right? So we're looking at equity, diversity, and inclusion and the value that it brings to a corporation. So for today's or for this week's module exercise, I have taken the assumption that you are able to load the data, you're able to open that data into a start from scratch report. And so you see my splash page is set up with that start from scratch report. I expect you to be able to get there. If you're not sure how to get there, please take a moment, take a look back at some of the instructional videos already available on YouTube to cover that off. But from this point here, we're going to actually build up a data set that we're going to use. We're going to slightly go a little bit further now as we continue to develop those skills and bring them home. All right. As you can see, my data set fields are here, and I'm going to expand that down. I recommend you do the exact same thing. And then over here, we're going to choose the chart. Now, I am going to stick to a clustered column chart like we have in the past, and I am going to suggest that we expand this because it's going to get a little bit small the more we populate in there. But now that we've got this set up, we can start kind of putting together what's important to us, right? And since we're looking at equity, diversity, and inclusion statistics, we're very interested now in race-based data, gender-based data, things like that. And so it is a limited set, doesn't quite reflect today's understanding of necessarily those concepts, but we'll work with what we have. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start to select um, the different races that are available to us in this particular data set. And we're going to go and choose African American. And you'll notice that African American automatically assigned itself to the y-axis. And it will continue to do that at this point. We can make the changes, but I like it there, and it actually suits the needs of what we're doing. So we're going to add American Indian. We're going to add Asian. We're going to add Hispanic. Then we're going to go, whoop, that didn't take, there we go. We're going to go add Native Hawaiian. We're going to go add other, just as a bigger category. We're going to throw two or more in there. You notice that other didn't populate, right? So sometimes if we find that there's no data, we might want to take that out. So we're going to go back and select other out. But we needed to kind of add the two or more to understand that it was absent, right? And so then at this particular point in time, we can then add white, non-Hispanic. And interestingly, you see a huge bar already. And we start to think that, hey, we might be able to draw some comparisons here, like white, not Hispanics, very, very low numbers. Why is that? It's because we don't have the full picture yet, right? So two things need to kind of come to mind to be able to fill this out. The first thing is we're going to look at including gender. And in this one, unfortunately, it's called sex. We'll have to deal with that. But when we select sex, it should automatically drop into the x-axis. And then you'll see that the chart divides in two, and we get a female and a male. Hopefully we'll get a data set in the future that have more dynamic and more gender appropriate terms to see a little bit more of that. But this is historical data and not necessarily tracking all that is important to us today. Don't make that mistake in your HR roles. All right, but it still doesn't tell us everything. If you remember what we looked at, we had to look at different paradigms and whatnot. So the last thing I want to add is this concept of job category. And job category, when you select it, should pop down into small multiples. And that's where we want it to go, because what it will do is subdivide this chart that we see now into those job categories. So I'll click on it here. But remember, if it didn't drop into small multiples, you can unclick it, grab it, and drag it into small multiples, and you'll have basically the same net outcome. All right. And now you can see that we have 4 different categories of job, and they greatly reveal some of our equity, diversity, and inclusion facts about this business, right? So I'll leave you guys to it from here. I look forward to talking to you in class. Take care.